You are surrounded by food. Honey pools against your legs. Protein crumbs sit inches from your face. Water beads on the walls of a glass box that a man in a laboratory sealed shut with you inside. Everything your body needs to survive is touching your body. You are starving to death. Your mandibles, the only tools you were born with, curve like two polished sickles. They can split the skull of any ant alive. They cannot pick up a crumb. They cannot scoop a drop of honey. They cannot carry, dig, build, or feed. You will be dead in 48 hours. Not because the food isn't there, not because you're sick or injured or old. Because evolution built you into the most efficient killer in the undergrowth and forgot to leave you the ability to eat. You are a slave-maker ant. And right now, there are no slaves. Pull back. You don't remember hatching. You don't remember the cocoon. You remember your mandibles. Already curved, already useless for anything but killing, tearing through a papery wall into warm, wet darkness. The chamber smells like 10,000 bodies. Workers flood toward you. They are smaller than you, darker. Their jaws are different, jagged, serrated, built to carry soil and chew food, and do 100 quiet things yours never will. One of them locks her mandibles against yours and pushes a warm current of liquid sugar into your mouth. She is not your sister. She is not even your species. You don't know that. She was stolen. Raided from a nest 100 meters away. Carried underground as a pupa by mandibles, shaped exactly like yours. She woke up here. She smelled the chemical fingerprint of your queen, a fingerprint your queen peeled off a murdered monarch's corpse, and something deep in her nervous system locked into place. This is home. These are her people. She will die for them. She will never learn the truth. The hunger comes. Your jaws close on nothing. A slave runs to you, locks mandibles, feeds you. This is the only arrangement you will ever know. Skip forward. For weeks, you stand in the dark and do nothing. Around you, smaller ants dig the tunnels, repair the walls, nurse the brood, haul the food. 90% of the bodies in this nest belong to a species that is not yours. They outnumber you 10 to 1. They do everything. You do nothing. Your exoskeleton is thick, your mandibles gleam. You are a loaded weapon standing in a room full of carpenters. Then midsummer arrives. A scout bursts into the chamber, running wild loops, dragging her abdomen across the floor. A chemical smear hits your antennae, and something detonates in your thorax. Something you didn't know lived there. Every warrior in the nest wakes up at once. 1,500 of you erupt from the entrance. You form a column, tight, disciplined, 40 centimeters wide, and march at 1.5 meters per minute through the undergrowth. You don't slow. You don't scatter. From above, the column cuts through the forest floor like a scar. 100 meters. The human equivalent of 35 miles. You cross it in a single afternoon. The target is a colony full of workers, full of brood, full of children. You reach the entrance. The first wave pushes inside. From a gland at the tip of your abdomen, you discharge 700 micrograms of weaponized chemicals into the corridors. The mist floods the tunnels and hijacks the defenders' alarm system. Their own signals collapse. Workers who have lived together since birth suddenly smell each other as enemies. They turn on their own sisters. The colony destroys itself from the inside while you walk through untouched. You reach the brood chamber. You curl your smooth mandibles around a single pupa. Carefully, gently, the curved blade cradling it without puncturing the skin. The column reverses. 1,500 warriors march home in a straight line carrying hundreds of stolen children. You don't understand what you did. You followed a scent. You carried something soft. You went home. The hunger comes. A slave feeds you. Skip forward. During that raid, something else happened above ground. Your sister, a winged queen, ran alongside the marching column. She released a sex chemical into the air. Males from a mile away smelled it and dove into the chaos. She mated in the dirt surrounded by chemical warfare, and stolen infants, and the bodies of ants who tore each other apart. Then she bit off her own wings. Now she is alone. She finds a foreign nest. A real colony with a real queen. She slips past the entrance guards, smearing appeasement chemicals to confuse them, and descends alone into the dark. She finds the queen's chamber. She lunges. For 25 minutes she bites the dying monarch. Not to eat her, to wear her. Every bite strips the waxy chemical identity off the corpse. Every lick paints it onto the killer's body. The workers rush in, they smell their mother on the murderer. They stop attacking. They groom her. The assassin lays her first eggs. The slaves raise them, the slaves feed them. The slaves defend the nest with their lives. A new empire starts in a home built by strangers. maintained by prisoners, fed by the deceived. If she'd picked a colony with no queen to kill, no identity to steal, her survival drops from 79% to 12%. Only 1 to 2% of her eggs survive long enough to reach adulthood before suspicious workers find and destroy them. She doesn't know those numbers. She knows the chamber is warm, and her stomach is full, and someone always comes when the hunger starts. The hunger always starts. Skip forward. Here is what you are. You march. You spray. You deploy chemical weapons that make an enemy army destroy itself from within. You steal children in the dark and carry them home without breaking their skin. You command thousands of workers from another species, stolen as infants, chemically convinced you are family, and not one of them questions it. Evolution invented your strategy independently, at least 10 separate times across 3 continents, because it works that well, and you cannot feed yourself. Strip away the slaves and you are the ant in the glass box. Mandibles closing on honey. Sliding off, closing again, sliding off, lying down, not getting up. 48 hours. That is the distance between your empire and your extinction. In 1810, a scientist named Pierre Huber proved it. He sealed your ancestors in a box with unlimited food. He watched them wander past it. He watched them collapse beside it. He watched them begin to die on top of it. Then he dropped one slave into the box. One. She drank the honey, ran to the nearest dying warrior, locked mandibles, and pushed the food into her mouth. One ant, one feeding. That is everything you are without the thing you stole. You don't know this. You know the hunger. You know the signal. You know the march. The rest is chemistry. But the chemistry is starting to fail. Your empire spans the world. Your cousins raid the scorching deserts from Spain to China, where the ground hits 30 degrees and every chemical trail evaporates the instant it touches sand. They can't swarm. They can't follow scent. So one ant grabs another by the jaws, flips her onto her back, and physically sprints her to the target, drops her off, runs back for the next one, soldier after soldier after soldier across burning earth. Others have degenerated past the point of raiding entirely. Their workers are vestigial, useless. They live inside host colonies as permanent guests, parasites so hollowed out by their own strategy that they survive only because their hosts haven't noticed them yet. This is where every slave-making lineage ends. Peak power, then collapse. And in some nests, the collapse starts from the inside. Deep in the forests of the eastern United States, inside hollow acorns on the forest floor, your smallest relatives keep slaves too. Tiny colonies, tiny raids, tiny stolen children raised in the dark. The slaves do everything. They feed the parasites. They nurse the larvae. They tend every developing pupa with careful, mechanical devotion. Then the pupae begin to change. The chemical signature shifts. Something in the developing slave makers starts to smell different. The slaves' antennae lock on. Something ancient fires. They don't run. They don't escape. They turn. They drag the pupae from the nursery. They neglect them. They tear them apart. 83% of the developing slave maker queens, dead before they open their eyes. 83% of the next generation of raiders, killed by the hands that raised them. 83% of every future column, every future march, every future raid erased in the silence of a stolen nursery. These slaves will never reproduce. They will never leave the nest. They will die childless under the same queen, in the same acorn, with the same arrangement that trapped them the day they woke up. But every queen they kill is one fewer raiding party next summer. One fewer column of 1,500 cutting through the leaf litter. One fewer nest of their wild, free, unenslaved biological sisters, ripped open and emptied. They don't know that. Something in them simply kills. And something in the surrounding forest survives because of it. A researcher spent 9 years in the mountains of West Virginia studying these acorn rebellions. She cracked open the nests. She counted the dead. She mapped which wild colonies still stood each spring. 9 years. 9 summers of cataloging the quiet wreckage of a war fought inside acorns. She said the slaves were the most effective resistance she had ever measured. Not because they won. They never won. Every slave died in captivity. Every rebellion ended in the same nest, under the same queen, inside the same arrangement that has held for millions of years. But every spring, the free colonies in the surrounding leaf litter were still there. Still building. Still untouched. And nobody could explain why, except the ones who were already dead. Your jaws close. The hunger comes. Nobody feeds you. There is one more creature that builds its entire empire on stolen labor. But it doesn't steal from other colonies. It steals from another kingdom of life entirely. And the thing it grows with that stolen labor has been alive for 60 million years. Next time,